Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Beyond the Hub, where I'm lucky enough to have one of HubSpot's product managers, Lucy Solaski, here to talk about Breeze AI. Hi Lucy.
Hi. Hi, Holly.
I wanted to give a quick overview, just a really like basic sort of layman's overview of what we're going to be talking about. So there's a few different elements to Breeze, right? So there's the Breeze Copilot, there's agents and intelligence. So the Copilot part is the element that's across all hubs, which is more like sort of your assistant. You can ask it basic questions and things like that. Agents is then hubs generally hub specific. So you've got like your social media agent, your content one, your prospecting. And then the intelligence tool is again made up of a few different parts, which is the form shortening, enrichment, and intent. So today, Lucy, I think we're going to focus on Copilot and agents. So that's your sort of area. So obviously HubSpot launched ChatSpot in early 2023, and that was huge. And I think people were wondering for a long time, like, when is this going to come? Like how? Because other platforms had already sort of built out AI a little bit in their platforms. So tell us a little bit about maybe an overview of how ChatSpot sort of evolved into Breeze.
Yeah, I'm happy to. And thank you so much for having me on. I am one of the product managers on the Copilot team. And so this was something that I've been involved in building out. And the biggest thing we heard from customers after we launched ChatSpot last year at Inbound was that they wanted it inside of HubSpot. They wanted it to be a part of their day-to-day. They wanted it to be easy to use, really integrated, embedded, and like truly powered by their data. So ChatSpot became ChatSpot in-app, which we had released to about 60,000 users. And then eventually that became Copilot.
Mhm.
Um, and we decided that Copilot was going to be your ride-along companion, your AI to like do it with me. But there was still a gap in AI capabilities that we did want to fill. And that's where agents and intelligence come in.
Okay, right. So yeah, that makes sense actually, because yeah, you're right. It was a completely separate app, yeah, platform chat sort
Yeah.
of it is, and it sort of yeah, sat on its own. Um, and during the research process for like coming up with what Breeze was going to be and what was going to do, what did customers want to see from HubSpot's AI?
Yeah. So beyond it being in the app, what they wanted to do was to be able to talk to their records. You have all of your data in HubSpot, and a lot of time can be spent kind of parsing through it. So you're reading through this structured UI, you're looking for, okay, what do my notes say? What's in the properties? What calls have I had? Do I have a meeting scheduled? What if instead you could just ask HubSpot? You could say, hey, summarize this contact for me. And then you could ask a follow-up question like, when's my next meeting scheduled? What were their biggest concerns in our last call? They wanted to be able to talk to their records, and we wanted to provide that experience. We also heard that the reporting experience, people were really excited to be able to do reporting with natural language, just to be able to ask for what they want. But it wasn't delivering at the level and the quality that they expected. So we wanted to also provide a better reporting experience. Those were two of the biggest things we heard. Another thing was we had, if you might remember, something that we called Content Assistant. So if you are in blog or landing pages, you could highlight text and you had some pre-programmed prompts. You could rewrite it, expand it, shorten it, change the tone. But people wanted to do more than that. They were copying and pasting to ChatGPT and then telling ChatGPT exactly how they wanted to edit content. They're like,
Yeah.
why am I leaving HubSpot? This is crazy. So we made that into a conversational editing experience. Those were probably the top three things people wanted to see.
I have to say that resonates because from our customers, though, especially the reporting in natural language, and
Yeah.
from my perspective as well, it's like a complete game changer because it just, yeah, it speeds it up completely. That's interesting. So you spoke a lot about some of the functionality that was added. So a couple of the questions that we've had from our customers have been around, the AI. There were bits of AI being introduced into HubSpot all of last year. So what parts of it were new for inbound? Like what functionality had been added when it was sort of like relaunched, I guess, as Breeze?
Yeah, that's fair. And I think you're right in that a lot of this was slowly improved over
Mhm.
time. And a big piece is consolidating it into Copilot, which allows you to have a conversational experience. So I don't know if you remember, but last year you could ask about your record. You could ask Copilot ChatSpot to summarize a contact, but it would just spit out some details. You
Mhm.
couldn't ask anything further. You couldn't have a conversational experience. Like, let's say you're like, hey, I'm meeting with them. This is really important that I cover the top three things in this meeting and I address their concerns. Can you help me create an agenda for that meeting? And so now Copilot can use your summary and really like take that data, but then answer your question. So you can have that follow up. So that true conversational interaction was one piece. Um, we improved memory. This is something that I think gets overlooked. It's not like a feature that you can use per se as a user, but it's huge. So when you're in Copilot, you'll have the opportunity to start a new chat or you can continue a chat. When you're in a chat, not only does Copilot know what you're asking it, but it also knows what else you've asked before. So if
Mhm.
you are summarizing a contact, and you're looking up news on their company, and then you ask to draft an initial outreach email to that contact using the news, it already has the information that you asked it before. And so it can use that to inform the next piece. So memory, I think, was a really big step forward. Next is embedded functionality. So we brought Copilot into the app, but we also know that prompting is hard and it's hard to know exactly how to get value out of it. What do you ask it? Where is it, where's it good? Where's it bad? And so we embedded Copilot along your journey so you don't even have to type a question in. You'll notice as you kind of start to go through the platform that there are buttons with little the Breeze stars and
Mhm.
might say summarize. So if you're on a campaign, for example, you can just click the one button and it will summarize the entire campaign for you in Copilot. You don't have to remember what the name of the campaign is, type it in correctly, know what you're asking for. And so there's also Copilot previews. If you are in global search, you're searching for a contact, you can just click summarize directly from that contact and it will pull it up right there in the UI. Same thing for calls or your tickets on the help desk. Um, and so embedding the functionality, I think, makes it a lot easier. The other thing we've done to make it easier is templates um, or suggested prompts. We have a whole prompt library instead of Copilot where you can see suggested prompts that kind of show you what Copilot is good at. You click one of those, it's like a Mad Lib style, fill in the blank, easy,
Yeah.
easy. You press send and you get a whole answer.
I love it. And yeah, those like the I guess one of my favorite ones is the record summary because you know when you're looking at a record and then you scroll it down and down and down and down and you're trying to find like when were they created, like what originals, what source did they come from? You can to be able to see that in just the contact summary is incredible. Just again, saves so much time.
I love it. And something kind of what you said, you click that summarize button and then you can follow up. So if you know you're looking for that one thing, you're looking for when was this contact created, if that's not included in the original summary, you just ask
Yeah.
and you're not digging through things.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. But we've kind of touched on a few use cases so far, but as the title of the session suggests, a lot of people that we're speaking to are still, I guess, using AI within HubSpot just to do content creation. You spoke about a couple of things, a couple of other things it could do. But yeah, people have said that when I talk to people, they're tending to say, I'm using it to give me blog ideas or maybe write a social media post here and there. And I think sometimes it's almost because there are so many features and prompts and ways it could be used, it's almost overwhelming to try and decide or figure out other ways that you could be using it. So what else where do people start? What else could they be doing?
Yeah. So I want to touch back on this. Let me start with this. Something that's interesting about AI, you might have heard the term jagged frontier. It's really good at some things and it's not good at other things. And every AI is a little bit different. And so it does take some experimentation to kind of find that, to figure out, okay, what does it know how to do? What is it going to be able to do? And where is it not as strong? I think the prompt library is the best place to start. For anyone who's overwhelmed, who doesn't know what it could do, if you just browse through, they're organized into different categories. So there is the generate for content, but there's also summarize or prepare for meetings or asking HubSpot or reporting, research. And within each of those categories, there are different prompt templates that give you ideas for what are the types of things that it can answer really well. So that's a great place to start. Another place to start is to look for that Breeze star in the UI. And that is the easiest way. You don't have to type anything in, but anywhere you see that, you know that there's a really nice Copilot feature that can help you out. Try it, see what you like, see what works really well for you. And we're going to continue to make it as easy as possible by embedding it, putting it everywhere where you are. So you don't have to think like, oh, is this a place I can use AI? Yes or no? Is it going to help me here? If we
Love
know
that.
that it's going to be super helpful, we've tried to make it as accessible as possible.
I love that. Just look out for the style. Something else I've noticed before inbound, I was in a partner user group meeting, and I was talking about how I found it odd that HubSpot, it had ChatSpot, but then it sort of ChatSpot got rolled up within the thing, and then we were just like AI content assistant, and then there wasn't like a single name almost that I could use to refer to the AI across the platform. And I think like the star and like the name, that almost helps for usability because I have something to refer to, something to think about whilst they're in the platform. We've kind of touched, I did want to touch some more on use cases, but we've kind of done that. We've kind of talked a lot about the different use cases, things that you can use AI for within HubSpot, but something we've talked a lot about Copilot, something we haven't spoken about yet specifically is agents. So can you tell us a little bit more about what's the differences between Copilot and agents? I sort of gave a very brief overview at the start, but yeah, if you could explain that a little bit more and maybe give us some examples.
Yeah. So Copilot is really a do it with me. I'm drafting a blog post. Copilot's going to help me draft a blog post. I'm doing some prospecting. I'm researching company, looking up the news, drafting emails. Copilot's going to do it with me. Let's say I just want something to do it for me. That's where the agent comes in. The agents can be set it and forget it. You can also have a human in the loop and definitely check the agent's work, make sure you're comfortable with it, edit it after the fact, etc. But it is a nice way to just get AI functionality to do something for you.
Okay, that makes sense. And the agents are across, there's several different ones, right, that are aligned to different hubs. And do you think that like having them separate between hubs will help sort of sales and marketing or service leaders really define their use cases and think more clearly? As I said, like because AI is such a broad topic, it's like where do you start? My feeling is that agents could help people
Yeah,
narrow down and sort of define and help them know where to start. Do you sort of think that's the case?
I completely agree. We chose the top use case for each hub, for each persona, right? So a marketer dealing with a social media calendar, that's something that AI is really good at and can help you with. And HubSpot AI is even better because it knows your business, your company, your other things, how they've performed. It can tell you what time you should send things at. And so the social agent goes with Marketing Hub. For people who have Marketing Hub Pro or Enterprise, it's included. Right now, it is in private beta, so you still need to request access, but hopefully soon that will be out to everybody in public beta. But then Sales Hub goes with the prospecting agent, and so the prospecting agent, you enroll your contacts in it, and it will do the research on that contact for you. It will draft a sequence of 3 emails. And you can either put it in semi-autonomous mode or autonomous mode.
Okay.
Semi-autonomous, you get to check it before you send it. And then eventually what we found is that people who use it, they start with semi-autonomous, they start checking it, and they've already moved to fully autonomous because they really trust the results that it's getting.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that that was an option.
Yeah.
Ah, I like it. I have to have a look at that.
Mhm.
Another thing that we find is, I'm sure actually probably even within HubSpot and within a lot of businesses, is that there rarely seems to be like a business-wide initiative to embed AI. It tends to be just, like you have some people that are using it loads, maybe to craft their emails, some people that are not using it at all. There seems to be very little consistency, I suppose, at the moment. So do you know of any businesses that are sort of successfully creating a strategy around how they use AI?
Mhm. What Thinking about creating a strategy for AI, I read a book recently called Co-Intelligence, like Living and Working with AI. It's by Ethan Malik. And one of the things that I love from this book is that he was really emphasizing the fact that he's the one where I learned this word jagged frontier from. But people who are closest to the work are the best at figuring out what AI is going to be the most helpful for, how it's going to make them the most efficient. And so the companies that I think have been the most successful with it so far are the ones who are encouraging people to use it however they like, however they can to make themselves more efficient and then share what's working for them. I think we've found that there are some people who are AI evangelists. They will put in the time to figure out the right prompts. They love playing with it. They get so much joy and engagement, and then eventually it makes them so much more efficient. If those people can then share those tactics with the people who are a little bit later to adopt and want to understand exactly how to use it before they start, that's how you're going to get a lot of progress within a company. One of the things that we do at HubSpot that I love, we have Slack channels like AI for marketers, AI for service, AI for sales.
Yeah,
As people are finding use cases that really work for them, they share that out with the larger team. And that strategy has been really nice. You know, we have it within all the product managers that I am close with. We share things all the time, and I've recently started using Claude for prototypes just based on something that someone else shared that they did that, and I was like, oh, this is an awesome use case. It's made me so much more efficient. I really love it, and so I think that that can be quite helpful.
I love that idea. Yeah, just simple sharing of use cases. And I think when I was talking to someone yesterday, and I'm sure that that's where AI is now, but eventually we're sure to get to a point where it's just almost a given that that's part of the tool and that's what we're using now day to day. So it'll be really interesting to see how that evolves over the next couple of years. Um, we talk about adoption a lot. We have the adoption hug. It's one of our sort of key things that we look, as we tell everyone, a CRM is only as good as as the people that are using it, and if they're logging in and doing the right stuff. Is there any way at the moment to monitor sort of how AI is being used in HubSpot?
Not yet. And you're talking about from like a company's perspective, like if I am
Yeah,
an admin and I want to see how the people at my company
yeah.
are.
I know that I can use it from the email marketing to see if the content has been generated with AI. So I know that exists.
Yeah. Not yet, but I think that it's interesting to hear you talk about that and mention that and wanting that. That's something that we're considering building at some point,
Okay.
and hopefully we will have. But it's not there yet.
Okay. Well, people, if you have any thoughts with Lucy on that, if anyone's watching,
Please share
any
them. In
comments?
general, any feedback you have, we want to hear from customers. We want to hear from people who are using it, what works, what doesn't work, what they wish worked. Um,
Yeah, feedback. Great.
yeah.
Um, so we also hear from people that have HubSpot, but maybe they are considering looking at external AI tools, or wondering what the difference is between using something that's native within HubSpot or something that is external. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the nice thing about HubSpot AI, we've built it to be as easy as possible to use, fast for you to get value from it. Like you don't have to set anything up. It's out of the box. It comes with you. It's very easy. If there are any configurations, they're small. So I think that there's that piece. But then the third piece, which is the biggest, is the fact that it's built on top of all of your data. Like if HubSpot is where you have everything, the AI is going to be so much smarter by having access to that. And so if you're having AI in all these disparate places, you're really missing out on the power that comes from it knowing your data and having all of your information. Um, and that I think is the biggest advantage and the biggest reason to use what is in HubSpot.
Hmm. Okay. And speaking of data then, because you briefly touched on it there, we also speak to people a lot about, if you want AI to work for you, it could be great, but it needs to be able to have good data behind it to give you the answers and the things that you want. Have you got any examples of where maybe the outcome of something you ask AI to do would be different if the data was good or if the data was sort of not clean?
Yeah. One of the things I think a lot about is are if HubSpot is the place and it's being religiously used to log notes, emails, conversations, when you have all that information in one place, all of a sudden, when you summarize a contact, you get a whole lot more than just the basics. You really get, let me give you an example. Let's say, I saw this, I was looking at my portal. I have one contact that had a whole notes about, what exact, and this isn't a demo portal, so this is kind of a silly example, but the demo portal is a plant care company. And we were creating records for the demo portal to use. And some of the records that just have the basics, it's good. It gives you something good. But the more information you add to the record, the better the summary is. I was adding a ton of notes like, you know, she's looking for a dark, moody theme for this party she's throwing and needs plants for. And it was kind of buried in like a bunch of different emails, a bunch of whatever. And the Copilot pulled that piece out. So when you ask, like, help me prepare for the meeting with this contact, the more little bits of info that are actually stored in, the more you're going to get what you need when you ask it.
Yeah. So hopefully if your users have everything like connected up, like their emails and, are logging their calls and putting their notes in, using the playbooks to get all the right information, that's going to make whatever you ask the AI is going to be so much more detailed. Just useful for you. So obviously you've worked on the development of Breeze. Which feature are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the way, I mean, it's hard to choose just one, but the way that we've made prompting really easy. I love our Copilot previews. So let's say you are on help desk. This is one of my favorite things. If you're going ticket by ticket, what you'll now see in a card on the side is a Copilot preview of a summary of that entire ticket, the entire conversation. You don't have to even click on a button. If that card is there, as you scroll through onto different tickets, and we know service reps are constantly switching context and having to come back, you can really quickly get up to speed just with that summary right there. Same thing with call summaries. They use Copilot preview, so it's embedded functionality right there. And I think yeah, we'll stick with that. That's probably my favorite.
I love it because it's not always like you can do really awesome things with AI, like crazy stuff that you wouldn't think of, but sometimes it's just like the small things, just a simple, like really good preview on on your record or your summary of something that just changes it. So yeah, I think that's really cool. I love it. And then maybe if we can just wrap up our chat by thinking about what Breeze could look like in the next couple of years. I know, like looking back 2 years ago, we didn't even have ChatSpot. Now we're at a place of Breeze. What's it going to be like in the next couple of years?
So I'll speak specifically to Breeze Copilot. And Copilot, our goal is we're calling it journey-driven Copilot, to make it as embedded as possible. So you can imagine, like, you are a sales rep. As you're going through your day, you have a meeting coming up. Copilot proactively helps you prepare for that meeting. It helps you get together all the things you're going to need, any research on any recent news from the company, a summary of your previous conversation with them, a new agenda for that meeting. After the meeting, you imagine that Copilot is like, hey, we noticed that these 3 properties were discussed. Like, here's some things that could be updated inside your CRM. Do you want me to go ahead and do that for you? Do you want me to draft your follow-up email? And it really makes the before and after those meetings easier. So you can actually, as a sales rep, spend more time talking to people. And you can imagine the same thing for a marketer or a service where it's just proactively making your life easier, telling you what the next best action is, helping you prioritize all of those tickets. Okay, which ones are going to be the most important? Copilot's going to suggest for you, hey, maybe you should start here with these 1, 2, or 3. And here's why. So that's what people have to look forward to. And I think that on that vein, things are moving really fast in the AI space. So if one of your customers tries something out like, hey, this doesn't work today, try it again in a month. You never know. So give me feedback that you want it to work.
Yeah.
And it's just going to get better. AI is going to get smarter. The models are going to get better. It's going to get more embedded. It's going to have access to more of your data. This is the worst it will ever be.
It's really exciting. We know that you guys on the product team have been keeping us very busy with all of these updates. Thank you so much. Like I said, I know you've been really busy. It's been great to talk to you today. The main things that I'm taking away is I just need to look for the star. Wherever I am in HubSpot, I'll just
I love
look.
it.
Thank you so much, Lucy. What I'll also do is link that book that you recommended in the comments after this episode, because I think that would be a really interesting read if you're sort of interested in, how AI is like fitting into everyday living, working, life. But yeah, thank you so much, Lucy. That was great.
Thank you, Holly. It was so nice to chat.